Hi, Democrats. Today is Wednesday, May 25th, and it's time for the Chair's Daily Live. Happy Wednesday. So, we tossed around the idea of maybe not doing it today because what can I add to the conversation that will add any real substance? What I want to add to the conversation today is the names of the lost souls from yesterday's horrific event. It's these are yesterday's souls that we're aware of. And as one commentator said today, we haven't even buried all the people from Laguna, California, the church, the NHPI church that was where a gunman came in and shot those folks. We haven't buried all the people from the Tops grocery store in Buffalo, New York. We are just bouncing from one tragedy to the next. And I want everyone to rest assured that the Congress people from Oklahoma have all issued their appropriate prayers, well wishes for this event, but nothing of any substance except that they pray for the families. We all pray for the families. But faith without works is dead. We pray. But it's time for us to do something, and it's time to hold our elected officials accountable for doing something. So there's so much, right? We are at over 200 mass shootings in 2022 in churches, in grocery stores, at schools, in places where we should actually be safe. I had to log off of Facebook today because of all the people who are rushing to say that what we need is more guns, and that it's not the guns, and that it's too soon to talk about politics. The reason I came today was to say this is all about politics. This is all about politics. The chief of the Cherokee Nation, Chuck Hoskins Jr., released a press release today that in Cherokee tribal elections, from this point forward, they can't take dark money. They can't take money that has undisclosed donors. It is their attempt to make sure that the Cherokee citizens know who is playing in their election process. That Cherokee citizens know who's donating to whom. That does not apply to the national elections or even the state elections of Oklahoma. But it is absolutely applicable to what we're talking about today. This is about politics. This is about politicians who are pandering to the NRA. These are politicians who are pandering to the fringe. And I say fringe, I mean it. The fringe folks who don't want to hear any common sense, reasonable conversation about common sense gun reform. Again, this isn't about taking people's guns. That I don't stand in that camp of taking people's guns. I stand in the camp of common sense gun laws. I stand in the camp that says we should have background checks. I stand in the camp that says regular citizens don't need weapons of war. We don't. I don't want to, you cannot in one breath tell me that you're an avid hunter and in the same breath tell me that you need an AR-15. You hit a deer with an AR-15, that deer is useless to you. You hunt a duck with an AR-15, that duck is useless to you. AR-15s are not about hunting. So we have to be honest when we talk about it. We have to be honest when we talk about it. Common sense gun reform. If you're completely opposed to that, it's your right. This is America. You can say whatever, but just say that. Be honest. I wrote down a list of bills that came before the Oklahoma legislature, and I just got tired of writing because literally it was pages. I wrote down a list of bills that came in front of the Oklahoma legislature this session. Not all of them passed, but if they came before the legislature, that means that someone who was elected to represent Oklahoma crafted this bill. So there was one that wanted to allow for people on probation to be able to carry firearms. There was one that said if you were afraid, you could brandish your gun to scare someone. That was actually a bill, that you could brandish your gun to scare someone. There was the Kyle Rittenhouse Law. And I want to remind everybody who Kyle Rittenhouse is. He was the teenager who had a firearm, whose mother drove him across state lines so he could attend a protest to protect a building. And he shot and killed other participants in the protest. And by the way, he's walking around free. But Oklahoma wanted a bill to protect people like Kyle Rittenhouse. There was a bill to allow municipal employees to carry guns. There was a bill that says, hey, we just need permitless carry. As long as you're 18, you should be able to carry a gun any and everywhere. There was a bill that said we want to exempt Oklahoma from having to follow federal gun reform laws. I don't know why we keep trying to pass laws that say we are separate from the rest of the nation, but that was a bill. But then there was another bill that said we don't want to follow federal laws, but every municipality in Oklahoma have to follow the law set by. So it's the hypocrisy of it all. Guns in churches, guns at the fair. You can carry it any and every kind of way you wanted to carry it. They wanted to lower the age for who could purchase a firearm, carry firearms on campus, allow guns in gun-free school zones, creating a militia, the Anti-Red Flag Act, which is if you know someone is a danger to himself and others and you know he has guns, you can report him to law enforcement and they will come get guns until such threat is over. We didn't want any such bill. Then there was a gun rights, Oklahoma gun rights bill. And then there was one that said that they were trying to make guns, ammo, and accessories tax exempt. And that's just when I stopped writing. We're in trouble, Oklahoma. We're mourning things that happened in California, Texas, and New York. But that's just the most recent. It's coming this way. And our lawmakers, the majority of our lawmakers, are trying to pass bills to make sure that any and everybody can have guns and carry them everywhere. I'm not, as I said yesterday, and as I always say, I'm not anti-gun. I'm not coming for anybody's gun. But I do think that it is high time that we have the conversation and pass laws and bills for common sense gun rights. It's just that simple. Common sense gun bills. I don't understand why we can't have the conversation. Thank you, candidate Joshua Harris Till, running for Congressional District 5 Congress. There were over 60 gun bills drafted this session. 60. I want to remind you, we didn't lower the grocery tax in our state, that we only raised education funding by 0.5%. But we had time to draft 60 bills about guns. Thank you, Jana. We can't have the conversation about tax-free groceries, but let's have a conversation about tax-free guns. And that's, you can go look it up. Can't make this up. This is where we live. So I woke up today and, like I said, I had to get off social media because I woke up today with 3 high schools in Tulsa that were on, I don't know what soft lockdown is because we didn't do that in my day. And I don't have kids that are in schools now, but 3 high schools. And I know folks at every one of these high schools that were under soft lockdown because of threat of gun violence. There were actual threats at these high schools for gun violence. 3 in Tulsa. I don't know what happened in Oklahoma City. I am sure, because if we had 3, I am sure that at least 1 school in Oklahoma City was on lockdown. It's not right that parents have to worry when they send their kids to school if they're going to be safe. But that's where we are. It's not right that we have to worry if we go to church, will we be safe? But that's where we are. It's not right that you can't feel safe going to the grocery store. But that's where we are. I am begging all of you to go out to, of course, my favorite source is okdemocrats.org, but anywhere you can to research the candidates that are on your ballot. Research the candidates that are on your ballot because we have an election coming up on June 28th. Research them. Particularly if they're an incumbent, they have a record. If they are incumbent, they have a record that shows where they stand with regards to common sense gun laws. Research your candidates and then make sure that everybody you know who the good candidates are. We have got to change who's at our legislature because we're in trouble. We have got to get more balance there so that when someone says no tax-free groceries, but let's have some tax-free guns, that there are enough people on the other side of that conversation to say, hold up, wait a minute. It is more important that we eat than that we participate in this dangerous hobby. We've got to elect more folks. It's raining all over Oklahoma as far as I know, but it's not going to be raining this weekend, or it's barely going to be raining this weekend. This is a great weekend to get out there and drive a candidate around or drop literature for a candidate. I need you to pick a candidate to help. And if you can't drive, donate your time. Write some postcards, stamp some envelopes, donate your money. They need your help. We need your help. Check their voting records, and you can check their voting records. You can go to town hall, just as Joe suggested, but you can go out to the Oklahoma State State House of Representatives page. You can go out to the Oklahoma State Senate page, and you can pull up their voting record. Thank you, Marianne. You can text bank for a candidate. There's all kinds of ways that you can help a candidate, but you've got to help a candidate. We cannot be passive. We cannot be apathetic, and we cannot give in and just decide that this is how it is. It doesn't have to be that way. It is this way because we have been apathetic or because we haven't been paying attention. It is this way because of behavior at the ballot box. We can change behavior at the ballot box every year in Oklahoma. We can change our representation in our state house every 2 years in Oklahoma. We can change who's down there representing us, and we must. We must. There were 19 children murdered yesterday in their classrooms, just a couple of days before school was out. 2 teachers. There were 10 people murdered at the grocery store about 10 days ago. There were, I think it was 5 people murdered at church in Laguna, Texas, 6 days ago, 4 or 5 days ago. We can change it by changing our behavior at the ballot box. We can change it by electing folks who will listen to reason. So thank you, Jana. Donate your time, your talent, or your treasure. Pick a candidate or 2. They need your help. And I've been going to candidate events. I've been having conversations with candidates, and they're not feeling your support. They are feeling as if we are apathetic. We cannot afford apathy. Apathy gets us 19 children killed at school. Apathy gets us 10 people killed at the grocery store, 5 people killed at church. We've had over 200 mass shootings this calendar year. I can't even talk about the NRA in that meeting that all the politicians in the world, including ours, will be at. I want to focus on how we can fix it. I just want to focus on how we can fix it. I want to get out of this. I'm truly saddened by what has become our norm, and we cannot accept it as our norm. We can change it. If you can hear me, you have the ability to change it. Check your voter's registration and make sure that everybody you know who is eligible to vote is registered to vote, and help them get to the polls. The next election is on June 28th. We have until next Friday to make sure you're registered so that you can participate in that election. Next Friday, June 3rd, is the deadline to register to participate in that election. It's not too late to request your absentee ballot, so you can do the research and find out what candidates aren't owned by the gun lobby so that you can vote for them. Find out what candidates care about children so you can vote for them. Thanks for joining me. You guys have a great day, and I'll be back tomorrow at 4:15.